Hello there my fellow holodeck heroes and welcome to another fleet guide video. I've already done an in-depth guide on how to counter Leviathan using Chimera, and this one it's time to take Profundity in our hands and see how we can use Profundity as well to counter Leviathan. Personally, I do feel a little bit more comfortable with Chimera. I just feel like because of the turn meter control it's a little bit more consistent personally for me, because as you know with Profundity is all about those assists. Like Falcon's got like what 50% chance to assist and call somebody else to assist and things like that. So when you're not getting enough assists, things can get dicey. Now, as always with these in-depth guides, I will first cover the mechanics of both fleets, then talk about the RNG to look out for, and then finally show you a few battles. I think I've got 6 battles in total planned, so 3 versus Sith Fighter starting lineup and then 3 more versus TIE Dagger starting. So if you're just interested in the battles, there'll be YouTube chapters below, but otherwise let's talk about the fleets first. So let's look at the Sith fleet first. Now let's go and just review the key change that kind of tries to shut down Profundity is right here. So that's what I added with the latest buff, that enemies attacking out of turn can't critically hit Sith allies. Solos assist, Falcon assisting, calling somebody to assist, then can't critically hit, which means it will really slow down your download progress. So we'll have to adjust a little bit our attack strategy to hopefully get the download progress still complete. And because you can't critically hit, you can forget about killing anybody off. If you're lucky, maybe you can finish off TIE Dagger or a Sith Fighter in the beginning if you do get amazing their assists, RNG of assists from Falcon, calling in Profundity and things like that. So it's really a race to the ultimate. You have to get to the ultimate before the enemy does. That's really the only win condition that you will have here. Then of course it's the isolate. Now mine is not 7-star yet, so I can't have this unlocked. So if the enemy capital ship is light side, dispel all buffs on target enemy and inflict isolate on them. Now this isolation itself, it doesn't cause too much problems, to be honest. Just like Y-Wing gets isolated and that's it. But really that you can't crit to attacking out of turn, that's causing problems, preventing you obviously to take down ships quickly and get your download progress complete. Now whether it's a Sith Fighter or TIE Dagger in starting lineup, obviously battles with I find with TIE Dagger starting are a little bit more kind of RNG based. There's very small margin really of error there when it comes to TIE Dagger, and that's because right here, so whenever enemy attacks out of turn, which obviously will do a lot, or another Sith ally is inflicted with a debuff that can be dispelled. And remember, they're gaining a lot of stacks of ferocity and that counts as debuffs. And then you gain 1 stack of vengeance on TIE Dagger, and once it reaches 15 stacks, it will dispel all debuffs on all Sith allies and then gain a bonus turn. And also during this bonus turn it can ignore taunt and as well ignore protection. And you will see this comes very quickly, like every other turn almost feels like that TIE Dagger is getting bonus turns. And I think that's why it's a little bit more challenging versus TIE Dagger than versus Sith Fighter starting. Also TIE Dagger I think is a little bit more durable, because really what Sith Fighter does, and it's more annoying, is the turn meter gains, but obviously Profundity shuts down any sort of turn meter manipulation. The foresight bit is still a little bit annoying. But definitely like versus Sith Fighter, no matter what kind of RNG, I can always somehow eke out a win, even when I do get horrible RNG. Whereas with TIE Dagger, if you are struck with horrible RNG, it's very difficult to pull out a win. And then of course we've got a Sith Bomber spreading concussion mines, and then those concussion mines turn into days, obviously stopping your assist as well. So that's the Sith fleet that we have to look out for, the mechanics. And then we have the Rebel fleet. Now let's look at Profundity first. Now the basic probably it's very unutilized with Profundity in most cases. However, after the buff this is becoming now key ability, because you basically bonus turn to the target Rebel, which is great. And on top of it all, whenever this ship you give bonus turn to, it will increase download progress by 10%. Remember, we can't crit, so 10% download progress is already a lot when you can't crit attacks out of turn. However, you can also then land buff immunity on the target. Now, if you landed buff immunity, you get good RNG, you get assist from Falcon, and suddenly pre-taunt on Sith Bomber is dispelled, and then Sith Fighter is out in the open. Whereas with TIE Dagger, because of all those attacks out of turns and debuffs, it will quickly dispel off the buff immunity on the Sith Bomber. So then the window to take out TIE Dagger is much smaller than to take out Sith Fighter, as you will see in the example battles I'll show you. Now the other ones, let's look at the Outrider. Now we'll use basic on Outrider. Outrider will get bonus turn straight away. Use this ability right here, which will give us speed up, tenacity up, which is important so we can resist those concussion mines. Unfortunately, one turn only, so it will drop very quickly. However, we will also be increasing download progress by 20%, which means in combination with the basic from Profundity and this, you will start your battle off already with 30% download progress, which obviously is huge with all those anti-crit stuff that Sith have going on for them. In terms of other abilities, you probably know already basic here from Outrider deals damage 3 times. So if it crits, that's 3 critical hits, means more download progress for you. And then on the special, it deals damage 5 times and also dispel buffs on the target, which is actually very nice, so you can get rid of that critical damage immunity, so you can start critting again. And of course, we got Falcon as well on its basic, will be dispelling buffs, trying to shake off that constant critical damage immunity that enemy is getting, so we can finally crit, because we remember we can only crit during our own turn. And then of course we have Y-Wing starting. It will be there just to eat up that isolate in beginning, so whenever Y-Wing does get a turn here, we will dispel all buffs, maybe land shield disruption, but most importantly Y-Wing will taunt for 2 turns and it will then eat that isolate. Now if you look at the speed there from Y-Wing is 174, whereas I believe a 7-star Leviathan will be at 184, but the reason why Y-Wing will be able to go before Leviathan, it goes back here to the Profundity's ability that gives us speed up here, so that then Y-Wing will get 25% extra speed right in the beginning of the battle and will be able to outrun Leviathan to get a taunt and eat up the isolate. And then we'll bring in Biggs here as the first reinforcement just to taunt. Usually Biggs gets blown away in a turn or two when the Fury Interceptor does its mass assist ability. Mine's only relic 3, so maybe at relic 7 or above. I also don't think I have 6 dot mods on the guy. Doesn't live long enough in most cases, but maybe at high relics, better mods can survive a little bit more. But definitely I think low gear Biggs might not do the trick here. You can try it out and let me know. So these are really the 4 ships that we will be utilizing. You can bring more reinforcements because sometimes when these battles go to the wire, you just pull off your ultimate, you've got like only 2 ships left, barely surviving enemies that got like 5 ships on the field. You can bring like Phantom, it will get destroyed, but then straight away next turn you can bring another reinforcement, just a little bit speed up the process of killing them off. But obviously in Grand Arena that would cost you banners, so you really just need Biggs as your only reinforcement in this one. Okay, so with the mechanics out of the way, let's talk about the RNG factors of these battles. So the first one, and probably the most important one, is will the buff immunity land at the beginning? Remember that basic will give over to Outrider, and then when Outrider goes, it can land buff immunity here or not. If it does, this is great because obviously you can then go ahead and dispel the taunt on Sith Marauder, and then you've got Sith Fighter out in the open. As mentioned before, with TIE Dagger starting, this buff immunity will get dispelled very quickly. Here with Sith Fighter starting, you have a little bit more time to get around it. And then the second bit of RNG, it goes straight after this sequence, which is will it Falcon assist? So when Outrider does its ability, hopefully lands buff immunity, you get good RNG here, and then if Falcon assist, it will right away dispel here the pre-taunt on Sith Bomber, and now Sith Fighter is out in the open, and if you're lucky with RNG, it can get nuked here in the opening sequence. This happened very rarely for me, so you just do basic here with Falcon, get an assist. It wasn't enough, There we go, get another assist. Lucky dodge there. So this was the closest I came to ever nuking a Sith fighter right in the beginning sequence. If it wouldn't dodge there, I would nuke it. So this would be probably like the perfect RNG run that I showed you here, the opening sequence that you would want for. So obviously things can go differently, as I will show an example. I just wanted to highlight the RNG here in the opening sequence that can go against you or for you. And then the next bit of RNG we can talk about is, will Biggs get nuked? Sometimes you bring him as reinforcement, and then as soon as the enemy, the Fury Interceptor, gets his mass assist, they can just totally nuke your Biggs and he's out of here. And then another RNG factor as well is Mark Interceptor coming in as the second reinforcement. Now if TIE Dagger starting, Mark Interceptor comes in as the reinforcement every single time. With Sith Fighter, sometimes it does come as first, sometimes second, so you have to keep an eye out if obviously Mark Interceptor is coming as second reinforcement, because then he can just nuke one of your guys. So you really have to keep an eye out here on the reinforcements a little bit, and then to see. I'll show again in the battles, whenever Mark Interceptor is second reinforcement, you need to use slightly different ability on Profundity on its next turn after Biggs reinforcements, just to make sure that your Outrider and Falcon don't get sniped like it did here in this example. Okay, so with RNG out of the way, I think we are ready now for our battle number 1. So first 3 battles will be versus Sith Fighter starting, and 3 more versus TIE Dagger. There we go. So the first one is probably worst case scenario, where we don't let buff immunity and we don't get a lot of assists to begin with. So the battle a little bit goes too long as I would have liked. But anyway, we give a turn with the basic over on Outrider. We do tenacity up, speed up, no assist, no buff immunity. Then we use basic to dispel the taunt on the Sith Bomber. Then we use the disability here, hopefully land shield disruptant, but most importantly get a taunt up so Y-Wing eats up that isolate. And then they get a few turns in here. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and use the special here to dispel all the buffs. There we go, getting some assists. You will want to wait with the dispel on Falcon for after Biggs reinforces, because you will just get dazed again on the next turn. Just use basic there. Not ideal. Falcon there getting the stun. Interceptor got as the first reinforcement. Now I'm gonna bring in Biggs as my reinforcement as well. There we go. Okay, so we'll just keep going, getting some critical hits. Nice. All right, and there we go. Biggs this time survived, didn't get nuked. Okay, let's see if he'll be able to hang in there a little bit longer just to taunt for us, but otherwise we'll just keep going. All this critical damage immunity a little bit troublesome. Let's go ahead and use this ability again, 20% more download progress. Now because the Interceptor has already been called in, we can now use this ability here just to get some to get a dispel over on Outrider. So we shake off days from Outrider because Falcon can now cleanse itself. There we go, and now we can go back to hopefully finishing these guys off. So you can see without those critical hits out of turn, we can't really kill off anybody. So the second reinforcement, they're bringing in TIE Dagger. All right, there we go. That's fine. So far, so good. Okay, just do a basic there. Always try to hit somebody that doesn't have foresight or critical hit immunity if you can. There we go, download progress complete. We can pull off ultimate, and as soon as you hit your ultimate, you are basically a guaranteed win. So I'm just gonna whiz this through. It just takes a minute sometimes to burn for all these guys. Always try to get Sith Fighter out first just to stop that they stop spreading foresight. And now just down to Interceptor and Fury as well. There we go, down he goes, and that was a win. Even when RNG wasn't really that great. And now on battle number 2. A little bit better RNG here. We just get no buff immunity, but we do get assist from Falcon in it, so we do dispel the taunt. There we go, same thing. We give turn over to Outrider, tenacity up, speed up, no buff immunity. We did get assist, so now the taunt is off, so no, we don't need to waste their basic over on Bomber. Then we can go ahead, dispel the taunt again, get our own taunt up, so we can now go ahead and eat up the isolate. There we go, that's fine. We'll just keep going. They got a few turns in. All right, let's go ahead. Still going after Sith Fighter again. If you get lucky here with assist, Boom, there we go, we nuked their Sith Fighter. So if that happens, obviously battle becomes a little bit easier because you don't have that foresight to deal with, which means you can actually get more hits on the enemies. See, noted here, Pulp Shuttle was called in as the first reinforcement, which means we have to be ready for Mark Interceptor to be our second reinforcement. So we'll do different ability with Profundity on its next turn. There we go, just putting hits on whoever doesn't have critical damage immunity. Now I'm gonna cleanse off there. Okay, that's fine. So now note when obviously again tenacity up, speed up, which will give us 20% download progress. And here instead of assist, I will actually use the other ability here, which will put Outrider in stealth. Falcon is hidden by itself already, so now when they do bring in Mark Interceptor, there is no RNG who Interceptor takes out, only Y-Wing is out in the open. And now with these two guys alive, download progress complete now at this point, I will be able to hit the ultimate and still win, even with only 2 ships remaining. Now this is the point, maybe in Fleet Arena you can bring more reinforcement in, you know, just in case, but to be honest, these guys simply do not have, here I'm just showing you that you can do that if you do want to play it a little bit more safe. Just bringing in a Phantom, and then I can bring straight another reinforcement if I would want to, but I just decided to finish these guys off, just to showing you, you can utilize more reinforcements if you do want. Okay, and now for the third battle, this is like almost the perfect RNG, I guess, versus Sith Fighter. So where we do get in the opening sequence the buff immunity, so again, basic on Outrider, tenacity up, buff immunity, assist, taunt is gone. We can now go ahead and use basic here on a Sith Fighter. Now we go buff immunity, stopping Sith Bomber from taunting. Lucky dodge there, that's what I said, almost perfect. This would be a perfect RNG run if there would be no dodge there and we would finish off Sith Fighter at this point already, because that would obviously speed up the battle quite a lot. But nevertheless, we should be able to finish it on our next attack here. There we go, Sith Fighter is down. And from this point forward, it's going to be straightforward battles. Again, note Mark Interceptor coming as the first reinforcement. So whenever Profundity does get a turn after calling in Biggs, you don't need to hide your Outrider, because obviously they can't have insta-kill. There we go. They're bringing in Pop Shuttle as a second reinforcement. Download progress complete. Now just, you know, pull off your ultimate and finish off the rest of the board. As you can see at this point, when you get good RNG, you can actually keep everybody alive, which means more banners if this would be Territory Wars or Grand Arena battle. Alright, so these are the 3 Sith Fighter battles. Now I've got 3 more with TIE Dagger. Now as mentioned before, TIE Dagger is tougher because of all the bonus turns and dispelling whenever you get gains 15 stacks of vengeance. So if you do get bad RNG, as I will show in the first battle, you know, it's very likely you can lose. So definitely it feels like versus the TIE Dagger starting, I would say Chimera is definitely a much better choice. Okay, but same thing here, see, no buff immunity, no assist. TIE Dagger I think is also more durable, harder to take down. There we go. Okay. Alright, so TIE Dagger at this point has got already 12 stacks of vengeance, which means just, you know, couple of attacks out of turn or a debuff here and there, and it will dispel. There we go, TIE Dagger there got 15 stacks of vengeance, dispelled all the debuffs on its allies, gains a bonus turn, and ignores protection during this bonus turn. So that's what I wanted to show you that, yeah, TIE Dagger is definitely the more challenging lineup. But so far still kind of we are hanging in there. Also one thing to note, obviously with Sith Fighter now coming is the reinforcement, you're not able to nuke it in the beginning. There's a lot more foresight going, which means more foresight. You can't really get critical hits on these guys because they will keep evading a lot of attacks, especially like on this special Sith. Look, everybody got foresight now, so it's very, very tricky. And also with TIE Dagger starting, you know Mark Interceptor is coming as a second reinforcement, so instead of doing an AoE there, clearing off all the foresight with Falcon, I had to hide Falcon at this point, so I can then obviously avoid Falcon and their Outrider. I hit them in the stealth, avoid them from getting sniped. Now here I do the AoE, clear out the foresight, and there goes the foresight again. I'm like, let's try and get Sith Assassin out. We go. got an assist there, wasn't able to quite finish off Seed Fighter. Again, very close there, really horrible RNG at this point on every step. Whereas with Seed Fighter, even when I get like literally the worst RNG, somehow we can still pull out a win in most situations, whereas with TIE Dagger is definitely less margin for error when it comes to RNG. As you can see here, only 5% download progress missing. So at this point, if you do not have your ultimate, you will lose, because right after this turn, always Leviathan will go and pull off its own ultimate ability. And there you go, that was a loss. So let's just hop now onto the next battle, which again wasn't a great RNG, but it was just good enough that I was able to get download progress complete. But otherwise, you'll see starting kind of similar here. Just, you know, no buff immunity, no assist from Falcon. Now we go, just gonna do basic there, dispel the taunt. Let's go ahead, put a hit over on Dagger. There we go. Sometimes, see, there you go, Dagger, you almost got him down. That would be Seed Fighter. It probably would have been dead by now. But again, it will now gain 15 stacks of Vengeance, dispel all those debuffs, gain a bonus turn, and, you know, they'll be pretty much everybody back to full health and protection. So it's like you made no progress at all. There you go. Almost fully healed up there on TIE Dagger. But it's back out in the open. See if we can put a couple of hits on it. There we go. So they again bringing in Seed Fighter. Okay, they got a stun or Outrider, which maybe is not ideal, but for some reason it got dispelled there. But anyway, let's go ahead, bring in Biggs. So as you can see at this point, I had 57% download progress when I brought in Biggs. In previous battle, I had 52%, so that was exactly those 5% you're missing. So again, versus TIE Dagger, things definitely become a little bit trickier. Again, you have to hide Falcon because Mark Interceptor is coming. And then when Profundity gets a turn, you have to again hide Outrider. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. And we're gonna hide our Outrider. And now again, Mark Interceptor has no choice but to take down your Y-Wing when it comes out. And then at this point, we should be good. Let's go ahead, target somebody there that doesn't have foresight. Okay, see if I would get a lucky assist there from Outrider, Seed Fighter would have been dead by now, which means no foresight. But luckily at this point, I already had download progress in hand. There we go, let's go ahead, heal up, and I'm gonna go ahead, get my ultimate out with Profundity whenever I get a turn, and you know, that should be a win then from here on as well. So there you go, again, bad RNG like in the previous battle with TIE Dagger, but I was able to get to the ultimates. Definitely these ones are always a little bit closer, especially when you do get a bad RNG there without buff immunity and, you know, without any assist to begin with. But anyway, enough of bad RNG. Let me show you also a good RNG run versus TIE Dagger as well for the final battle in this one, where you do get buff immunity or assist, so at least you can get around that taunt to begin with. Again, as always, giving turn over to Outrider, tenacity up, speed up, so we speed up the team. No assist there, but I did get buff immunity, so we can put a basic there. Let's go ahead and put a hit over there. At least buff immunity stopping Seed Bomber from getting a taunt. I also got shield disruption there, which again, 15 stacks of Vengeance, all gone. But luckily again, because of buff immunity, no taunt, so we can now hopefully get a nice big assist. There we go, down goes, yes, down goes TIE Dagger. One good thing about Y-Wing obviously being isolated is that Falcon will now always call Outrider to assist. So you do get more damage output, so that RNG is kind of eliminated who Falcon is calling for assist. So it kind of works this isolation in our favor. It doesn't really work against you, I would say, if I'm honest. But anyway, otherwise the rest of the battle, as you will see, with TIE Dagger down straight in the beginning, you know, these guys lose the firepower, no bonus turns, no dispels at 15 stacks of Vengeance and so on. Maybe even Biggs will stay alive, we'll have to wait and see in this one. There we go, we're on 68 plus 20, so now we're already on 88%. Again, we do have a Mark Interceptor coming as the second reinforcement, so make sure I hide my Outrider. Do a hit here, and this probably, I was on 89, so this probably completed already download progress at this point. There we go, almost took out there actually Seed Bombers. Definitely you can see when you get good RNG, things do go well. There we go, Y-Wings down. that's what Mark Interceptor chose, Y-Wing over Biggs. Let's go ahead, get rid of all that foresight. Perfect, as mentioned before, ultimate complete. Let's just go ahead, dispel the days, head into ultimate, and now just to clean up the rest of the board. And there you go, guys, that's all the battles I wanted to show you today with Profundity versus Leviathan. Hopefully, you know, it was useful and helpful, showing if you do have Profundity, not all is lost with the latest buff to Leviathan. You just have to readjust your starting sequence. Versus Seed Fighter, I'm getting very consistent results, good or bad RNG. With TIE Dagger, when it's bad RNG, it's kind of a 50-50 whether you win or lose. As I've shown you in those two battles, it was literally like a 5% margin when it comes to download progress. It's really so close. But when you good RNG versus TIE Dagger in beginning, also, you know, wins are straightforward from there on out as well. So if I would say overall, it's kind of opposite. Chimera struggle versus Seed Fighter, but it's better versus Dagger, whereas Profundity seems to work more consistently versus Seed Fighter, less consistently versus Dagger. So guys, if Dagger starting, use Chimera. If Seed Fighter starting, you could use Profundity if you would feel more comfortable with that. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, which will be Executor versus Leviathan. That's why I've been starting testing now, so be on the lookout for that guide sometime in the next few days. But until then, have fun, enjoy life, and may the RNG be with you, my friends.